Hey everyone, my name is Ariel,
And my name's Alejandro,
and this is the Call to Greatness podcast.
where we have conversations about life, mental health, and God.
Join us on this journey. Hey everybody, my name is Ariel,
And my name's Alejandro.
My name is Benjamin.
and welcome back to the Call to Greatness podcast. First episode of the year, of the new year,
The new year.
2021.
That's awesome.
And Benji is here with us. He's not a guest, he's just here.
I'm
And,
finally here.
He's
He's
finally
finally-
here,
yeah.
and hopefully he'll be here with us whenever he's not too busy working.
Money
right?
man.
Which will be hopefully a lot. You know, it's a pleasure to be here with you guys, and it's something great that you guys are doing. So, hoping that I get to be part of this a lot.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what have you guys been up to this week? Alejandro, I know a little bit, right? Obviously we talk outside of the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is a new year, so I do have some goals. You know, I've mentioned, I think it was the CTG weekly about some New Year's resolution, right?
Mhm.
So I want to become debt free sometime this year. Hopefully by June. That's like the target. So I'm moving back to my parents. So very stressful week, moving back and forth, and I picked up another job just trying to increase my income. So definitely a stressful week with trying to work and trying to move out at the same time. You know, landlord's kind of a jerk sometimes.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, I hope it's going well. Is it going well?
Yeah, I think I'm like on my third trip, and I just need to pick up my bed, and that's about it. But I'll pick it up tomorrow.
For sure.
I'm tired.
That's fair. Well, how about you, Benji? How's your week been?
Work.
That's it?
Yep. That's all I do. You guys really know me. That you know that's all I
That's true.
do. I just work.
That's true. You do work a lot. Well, my week's been pretty good. Definitely had some really stressful moments this week, but overall pretty good. And yesterday, we're recording this on Friday, but yesterday we had our first CTG meeting of the year, CTG men meeting of the year,
Mhm.
and it went really, really well, right?
Yeah.
The biggest turnout we've had so far,
Mhm.
and I don't know, it's just really impactful how open everyone was and how they were sharing with each other the things they were going through. Not to mention that they were also like giving each other advice, encouraging
Yeah.
each other. Two of the guys who did Jacob and Freddie know each other?
I don't think so.
Okay, because they started connecting to do stuff outside of CTG through CTG. So a lot of stuff that I'm like, wow, I had no idea it was gonna take off this quickly. So
Yeah, I remember when we were sitting down, like, you looked at me a couple times, and you're like, with
Yeah.
a big smile.
yeah,
And yeah, I definitely felt that too. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing how it's all coming together and people are connecting through this group. And
Mhm.
that's the goal, right? To create a better relationship with other guys, right? To create more friendships,
Mhm.
and real friendships, right? Because
Mhm.
sometimes we know people, but they're not real friends.
of course, yeah. So I'm just really glad that everybody's being able to connect with each other, and the fact that when they came to this space, how many of them were able to open up about stuff that I know. One of the guys afterwards, he was like, he said, "I feel like I can tell you guys anything,"
Yeah.
and I'm just really glad that they feel that way, that
Mhm.
they're actually able to open up. So it's really encouraging. One of the most encouraging things too. That's a good way to start the year, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
First, yeah, go ahead.
Especially with everything going on, right?
Oh,
All the chaos.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's really funny that everyone was like, "Oh, I can't wait for the new year," and it's I get it, I understand, but it's funny because nobody, there was no guarantee that anything was gonna change just
Yeah.
because of the new year, and it looks like 2020 just kept on going.
Yeah.
We're only what day is it today? Is the 8th? We're only 8 days in, and we already have, well, for starters, here in the U.S., we have the freaking all that crowd that just broke into the Capitol building.
Yeah.
The
COVID
pandemic
spike.
is
Mhm.
spiked again.
UK and Ireland are back in lockdown.
Yeah, so it's like 2020 didn't end, just kept going. So
Yeah, I saw this meme, and it was like the Joker, and it was like Pennywise next to him, and it was like 2020 introducing 2021, like showing him around.
showing them the ropes. Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah,
And I was like, hey,
yeah.
kind of true.
Yeah, but the good thing is it seemed like the guys were all really encouraged to be here, and it was encouraging for us
Yeah.
because when you start a ministry, you hope that you have people who want to support it, want to be a part of it, and just having people come here and pretty much all of them are like, we're really glad you guys are doing this. We've been looking for something like this. And I mean, the reason that we were even able to cater to something like that is because I feel like for us, it's something that we've also would have wished we would have had a long time ago.
Yeah, definitely.
And why not create that opportunity for others, So it's really encouraging. A first meeting of the year, and it went so well. So it's a good start to the year for CTG, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that too. I mean, we had a great turnout. Everybody was so active and so willing to share and connect with everybody else and give advice to other guys. Like it was just amazing to see, and it's amazing to be a part of something like that as well.
Absolutely. Well, guys, the topic for today, it's kind of the same topic that we shared on this past week's CTG Weekly, but we wanted to expand on it because when we were recording the weekly, for one, it was probably the longest, not probably, it was definitely the longest CTG Weekly we've done to date.
Yeah.
And even when we like re-recorded and we're like, you know what, we can cut it down and redid the episode, it was still like not enough.
There was still a lot of stuff we could have talked about.
Absolutely. So we talked about it and we were like, hey, how come we don't, or why don't we expand on it on one of these episodes so we can talk at it full length, right? So we called it New Year Better Me because on the CTG Weekly, for anybody who didn't get a chance to check it out, hopefully you guys can, but I asked you guys what you guys think of the phrase New Year, New Me, right? Because that's the popular one. New Year, New Me is what everyone uses at the beginning of the year. Everybody says it's like an opportunity to start new, start fresh or whatever, which is not a bad thing, right? I'm a firm believer that you just make your own chances. So if you feel like a new year is a good opportunity for you to do something different, something new with your life, great. But do you guys want to talk about what kind of reiterate what we said with the whole New Year, New Me phrase?
Yeah, do you want to go ahead, Benji?
Well, like I was saying, it's kind of pointless. Like there's no, like you don't have to wait till like the next year. Like let's say we're in January and your year's already up to a rough start. You can't just say like, oh well, I'll wait till next year to better myself. Like you can make that change whenever you want. It's just about, first of all, changing your mentality.
Yeah, it's taking it from someday to one day, right? And I do believe that in the new year, there's a lot more hope, right? Because just like with 2020, the ending, and it's just like, oh, I'll just wait for January, There is new hope, and I've definitely, every time I've tried to start something new, I would either start on the first of a month or I would start like on Sunday or Monday, right? Because that's like the beginning of the week. So I definitely believe that there is new hope there. Sorry, what did you say, Benji?
Like it's about changing our mentality. Like,
right.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people are kind of refreshed at the start of a new year because they can reflect on the things that happened and they can say, I can learn from these things and to better ourselves.
Right, definitely. Sorry, I agree with Benji, and I think when we reflect ourselves, we have to really look inside of us and acknowledge that, hey, you know what, maybe last year wasn't my best year, and I mean, you could say, oh, it was because of this pandemic, it was because of my job or whatever, and I mean, those are valid reasons, right? Like, yeah, it definitely was hard last year, but New Year Better Me, right? It's to become a better person. Because I think New Year, New Me, I like the identity of New Me because you're giving yourself a new identity. But it's too vague at the same time. When you say a New Year Better Me, you're admitting to yourself that, okay, well, I'm trying to become a better person, like, well, where am I now? And who's that better me? And what steps do I need to get there, right?
Absolutely. I think one of the things we talked about that we can expand on here, when we said new me, like you said, it's vague because you don't define it just by saying it. You define it by your actions. But new isn't always better or even good, right? If you carry all of your flaws along to your new identity or whatever, you could still be different-ish, but most just, carrying a bunch of your old problems. Not to mention that the new version of you could be worse. Like, let's say you are tired of people and you're like, you know what, I'm going to be more cynical. Well, now you're more cynical, so that is a new you, but that's not better, is it?
Right.
And sorry,
no, like for a lot of people, like their New Year's resolution or like their like something they want to do in the new year is they want to make more money, right? Which like if you think about it, it's good, right? Everybody, because we need money. We're humans. We need money to purchase stuff. But when you really think about it, is what is that money for? What are you going to use it for? A lot of people, when they make more money, it means they're just going to spend more on useless stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they forget to save up and they forget for that goal that they were reaching for. So what was that resolution for? It wasn't for the betterment of yourself. You were still stuck in that same space. You still have a lot of those same problems. For when we're talking about New Year, better me, you're making a conscious effort to better yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like about money, you know, I feel like money only magnifies your problems, right? So if you're like, oh, I've fallen into this too, you know, like, oh no, I just need to make more money, right? To keep up with my lifestyle and my friends and these things that I don't want, but the things that I want to impress other people with, you know, even though I don't care about them, right? Like, I and how about you said it's a conscious decision to become a better person. Well, maybe I can take a step back and, you know what, maybe I don't need that Spotify subscription and that Netflix subscription.
Exactly.
You know, maybe I'll use that money to go to the gym or, you know, just being more conscious and living below your means versus trying to live after, like chasing after an image, right? That you really can't keep up with.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know, I like that you guys bring up the finances and money because it's probably the most common, along with
Getting in shape.
I believe I have an article about the most popular resolutions for 2021. This was a 21 if you guys want to, maybe I can put the link in the description. It's Discover Happy Habits. It's a website, and it says that they did a survey, 2021 statistics. The most popular resolutions for 2021 are exercising more and improving fitness. 50% of participants said that. Losing weight, 48%. Saving money, 44%. And improving diet, 39%.
Wow.
So I know that adds up to more than 100, but like that's because they were asked like multiple.
Because they really want to do it, so it's more than 100%.
They
really wanted to do it. But I guess out of everyone, 50% said improving fitness. Again, really common one. Saving money, 44%, almost as high as improving fitness. Improving fitness being probably the most common one. And we can get to that example, but since we're already talking about money, saving money, 44%, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting that they phrase it saving money, but I feel like I hear more often just more money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, it's what you guys are talking about. You want more money, right? And I wonder if, because it just says saving money here on their survey, I wonder if that was people saying they want more money or if they actually meant to
Save more money.
Save money. Because my guess is that most people probably meant that they wanted to have more money in, say, like their savings account as opposed to spending less.
Right.
Because, like you guys were saying, we look at New Year's resolutions, I think, a lot of times as a way to change things, but in a way that doesn't really ask us to be better, just make our lives easier. And I feel like just because it makes your life easier doesn't necessarily make it better. You know, is it easier to live a lifestyle where you're always on the couch and just watching TV and playing video games than it is going out for a run or going to the gym? It's absolutely easier, but is it better for our health or better for us as people? Well, no, it's not. And so going back to the money example, like you were saying, you might look at it and be like, maybe I don't need that Spotify or that Netflix subscription, because rather than just being like, I need to make more money, why don't we reflect on how you were saying, you can look back on the year and reflect and say, what did I learn from this past year that I can grow on in this coming year? So was I spending too much on this? Okay, let me cut back on that. Have I used this subscription in like 3 months? No, I haven't. So maybe I shouldn't keep paying it. And when you start looking at things as ways for you to be better managing your money, as opposed to let me just get more money, that's, I think, when you can grow. Because if you just get more money, that doesn't mean that you're gonna be better with it.
More
That
money,
just
more
means-
problems.
Definitely, yeah. I feel like those are two different skills, right? It's the skill of earning money and the skill of saving money. And like
Mhm.
we're not all taught how to. I mean, a lot of us know how to make money, but a lot of us don't know how to save it.
Right.
I think it's
Right.
like 40% of Americans live like check to check, or no, I think it's like 40% of Americans can't afford a $400 payment. Something in
Mhm.
that sense.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like dang, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, it's okay.
I heard
Well,
the train, and I was like, train of
Yeah,
thought.
hopefully that's not in the mics, but there was a train passing by. I think we'll be okay either way. Wow, it's still going. I think we'll be okay either way.
You know, down the street, there's a train that passes by for 5 minutes at least, man. And that's one thing I'm grateful for, that I moved back to my parents, because I hated running into that train, man. Like I was there for at least 5 minutes. Every time it come up, like, it's like a 5 minute wait. It's like, dang, I gotta put my car in park.
I feel
Just
that.
turn it off.
I've definitely done that before, where it's like when the worst is when you see it start to slow down and you're like, oh, this is gonna take way longer than I thought. And you're just like, all right, park.
Yeah.
But going back to what we were talking about, like you said, a lot of us know how to make money, but we don't know how to save it, and it's something that you're just gonna have to learn with experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, when you're looking back at the previous year, whether it be 2020 or 2019, 2018, whatever, when you're looking back at it, you can learn from your mistakes. You can say, okay, maybe I shouldn't have spent that much money on that. I know my girlfriend and I have been talking about not going out to eat as much. One, we save money, and two, it also helps us, eat a little bit healthier, because it is a lot healthier to eat at home than it is to eat out so much. And of course, it's difficult. I mean, I can tell you that a lot of the times, because between work and the podcast and CTG and church, a lot of the times I don't have a lot of time to go home, prep a meal for like 45 minutes and then eat it, and then still maybe go to the gym, or go to the gym first and then do that, and then still try to find time to do something from my hobbies, so that I
Don't go crazy.
Exactly. And so it's easier to just go, okay, let's just go through the drive-through McDonald's really quick. Why? Because it's going to take us 10-15 minutes, and then we have our food. But obviously, like how I said earlier, easier doesn't mean better.
Right, yeah.
And easier is new, right? Like let's go to kind of an extreme example. If you used to cook at home all the time, and now you want to just start eating out more often, is it easier to now start eating out more often so you save on time? Sure, it's easier, but you're spending more money. You are going to almost definitely gain weight because it's a lot less healthy.
Yeah.
But it is easier, right? It's easier to just go through the drive-through of something than it is to go home, prep your meal, and then sit down to eat it. Or even, like, let's say tomorrow you're not going to have time, then you got to prep tomorrow's meal and stuff like that. So, of course, it takes more work and it's more effort to do stuff like that, but it's also the right thing to do.
And I feel like it's a popular idea too, to be busy, like, oh, I'm busy, I'm doing all these things or whatever, but sometimes it's not the most essential thing. I remember like last year I was like, I remember telling you, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm trying to do boxing and learn how to play guitar and go to the gym and do CTG and the podcast, and I was like, okay, like something has to go, like and I was like, okay, well, the drive here to the guitar lessons, I was like, okay, maybe I can do that for sure next year. I was like, with boxing, I was like, you know what, it's like really late the time I'm doing these like boxing classes, and I was like, you know what, this is time that I could be spending with my family or getting myself ready for the next day. I was like, by the time I come out, it's gonna be kind of late. I was like, I could, spend this time to, wind down and go to bed, instead of like taking me more time to fall asleep, because I just got out of this workout, so like my body's like warmer, things of that nature. And
Sure.
We spend a lot of time trying to make ourselves a well-rounded person, but like, is it essential, right? Are those the things that we should be focusing on? Last year, when I reflect on last year, I did spend a little more time with my family than I did have before. So and I missed out on many homemade meals and many family gatherings, and it's like I missed that, and I don't want to miss those opportunities, especially when you talk to like an old timer. They always like say like, oh, when you have your parents, take like full advantage of them, spend as much time as you can, like, so.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. It's like, just because you're doing a lot of stuff doesn't mean that you're necessarily even being productive. And I like the term that you use, being essential. Looking back at 2020, we're not saying that just to be a better you can't take anything from the previous year and,
Yeah.
and keep doing that. But look back and like you said, the things that you were doing. For example, when you said guitar, and you're like, okay, I can continue to do that. That's great. You know, you look at something that was working,
Mhm.
is you feel like you value it. It's important to you. You can keep doing it. And then you look at boxing, and it's not even that it's a bad thing, obviously.
Right.
But it's something that you think, do I really need that in my life? Is it essential for my life? No. Okay, we can set it aside. And sometimes it's hard because you're like, oh, am I not being productive enough if I'm not busy all the time?
Mhm.
But in order to really be productive, you also have to give yourself recovery time, right?
Right.
If you're going to improve, you also have to recover. If
Mhm.
you're just always on the move and no time for your body to recover, you're not really doing better,
Mhm.
right? And your body's going to suffer, which means eventually your productivity is going to suffer, your
Right.
mental state is going to suffer, and then you're back at square one.
Mhm.
So you have to give yourself time to also recover. So that's something that we can talk about as well for a better me, recovery, right?
Yes. Sleep.
Sleep. Yeah, that's something that I think everyone, it's really tough nowadays, finding enough time to sleep. And I feel like our generation is particularly bad at it.
Yeah, especially because we're I think we're on like these social medias that are extremely
Mhm.
addictive. It's hard to like stay off because it is very addicting. It's very stimulating to the mind as well. To keep scrolling and scrolling and like you just get in that space of like hypnosis. And like you just time just goes by so fast on there.
Yeah.
And like it's not enough. You want to keep going down this rabbit hole.
Absolutely.
No, like you were saying, like I think I find it funny that I get better sleeps like now that I'm working than when I wasn't. Because when I wasn't working, I would just stay up till like midnight or like 1 a.m. or like 2 a.m. Just literally doing nothing. Just
Yeah,
like on my phone, just scrolling social media or like watching YouTube videos.
Mhm.
And
But like now that I work, I have a set schedule. Like, all right, this is the time I need to be to sleep by, and I need to do this, and I need to do this, this, and this before I go to sleep.
yeah, and sorry.
Oh, like, is easier to set us like which way of life is easier? Like, obviously, it's easier to just like lay on your phone and like do nothing until like 1 or 2 a.m. But what's more productive? What's better for me? And that's the goal that we're trying to reach here with a new year, better me. It's not necessarily what's easier, but what's better.
Mhm.
Right, and it's like you said you would stay up and just scroll on these things, watch these videos, and I mean, I've fallen into that too, but I've noticed that when I make a sleep schedule and I follow those habits of sleeping on time, they're better habits than habits of like going on your phone and just being like it's useless,
Mhm.
So I think we're going to talk about too, probably having better habits or creating better habits this year as well.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you guys this, because it's obviously, we're not saying that resolutions are bad, but I feel like, what is it, 2 weeks ago, we talked a little bit about resolutions on the CTG Weekly, and we said that maybe we want to change it up, right? Not maybe call them resolutions, because I'm looking through a different article that I have here. If it's going to let me scroll through the 500 ads that it just popped up, it might not. Okay, let's see. Let's look at the other one. Let me ask you guys this. Why do you guys think New Year's resolutions are so hard to keep?
I think they're hard to keep because you're trying to implement something new into your life, and you don't have, it's not set in your schedule yet. Because like, okay, I'm gonna talk about the gym. Like, so I want to go to the gym more. It's like, okay, well, what time? And it's like, okay, at 4 p.m. It's like, okay, where? 24 hour, and like there's like hundreds of them. Which one? Like, oh, the one in Mountain or whatever, like. And it's just, I think we leave it up in the air too much, where it's like, oh yeah, I want to read more, or I want to sleep better, I want to gym more. It's like, okay, well, you're not being specific enough at what time or what location, what book or things of that nature,
I think people just expect things to change on their own. Like people just like they'll have problems throughout the year and they'll just keep pushing it back, or like, oh, next year, next year, next year. But they don't know how they're going to change them. They don't know what steps to take, and they expect that with a new year, it'll be like a little magic switch that just flips itself, and then they're like, oh wait,
Yeah.
I actually have to change this about myself. Like nobody's going to change it for me. I
Yeah.
have to make a conscious effort to change this. I shouldn't have pushed this back because now I still have no idea how to change it, and I've lived all these months or all these years in some cases with that same problem.
Definitely.
I want to read a couple stats for you guys. So, according to a 2016 study, of the 41% of Americans who make New Year's resolutions, by the end of the year, only 9% feel they are successful in keeping them.
Dang.
Yeah, that's pretty bad,
9%.
right?
Mhm.
An earlier study in 2007 showed that 12% of people who set resolutions are successful, even though 52% of the participants were confident of success at the beginning. So 52%, right, out of however many in the study said they were really confident. Only 12%, and then this is way back in 2007, were like, they're like, yeah, we actually did it. 12%, right? It looks like the number's getting worse apparently because this 2016 says 9% felt like they were successful. It gives right here actually a couple of reasons for failure. In 2014, in one 2014 study, 35% of participants who failed their New Year's resolutions said they had unrealistic goals. 33% of participants who failed didn't keep track of their progress. 23% forgot about their resolutions.
That's me.
I feel that one too, actually. And about 1 in 10 people who failed said they made too many resolutions.
I like that. Too many. You know, I feel like when the New Year's coming, you know, we have so much hope and so much like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. It's like I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. You know, I forgot about my New Year's resolutions last year, but I remember I had just too many things going on. Where I was stretching myself so thin, you know, and I was like, this year I'm focusing on just one, you know, and then after that, hopefully, get on to the next. So I do like that though, that I made too many, because like I think it's called like the choice of paralysis, something like that. When you just have too many options, too many choices, that you actually don't end up choosing anything, you know, because I've definitely fallen short of that, where I'm like, I have like 5 things to do, and I'm like, oh, which one should I do? And I'm like, none. Right? And get into that shell.
Absolutely. I think we've all felt that at some point where we have so many things to do that we choose to do none of them because we just can't. We can't pick out one thing to do, right? So looking at some of these stats.
Right now that you said that, that actually like reminds me of a little like funny story at work. Because today at work we had like 5 orders that needed to be filled, which is like at work for work. That's a lot because each order was like 100 packages, something like that.
Yeah.
So it was like 500 packages. So we had like 5 more minutes till our break, and like the person I was working with were like, we don't want to start these orders now. Let's just lollygag around and we'll start these orders when we come back from break. Orders were still there when we came back from break. We still had to finish them before we left. So it's like we tend to push things off because we don't want to make that change, or we don't want to put in the effort. But we're just kind of pushing everything. And when we realize there's too much, and then like before like we realize it, there's too many things that we have to change.
Yeah, that could be scary, right? To actually look into yourself and be like, dang, I gotta let go of these addictions and admit that there's a problem. Like, there's a problem with me. People don't like to. I don't think people like to admit that there's something wrong with them. You know.
It's really funny because when you look at New Year's resolutions, in 2020, one of the most popular New Year's resolutions is to eat healthier. 44% of UK respondents chose this resolution. 44% of Polish participants, and 43% of Americans. Americans have a problem with like fast food anyway, so I can see why. In 2019, one survey found that more than half of all Americans wanted to be healthier. 59% wanted to exercise more. 54% said they would eat healthier, and 48% resolved to lose weight. That's like half of everyone that's talking about their New Year's resolutions. Let's see. About half of Americans in 2018 wanted to start the year by saving money, 53%, and getting in shape, 45%. And yeah, okay, that's where that thing is. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing any more stats. But it's funny that you guys say like they don't want to put in the effort. Why is it that? Why do you guys think that some of the most popular, or what seems to be pretty much the most popular New Year's resolution, which is to get healthier, which is to lose weight, why do so many people pick that, knowing that it's really hard to keep?
I don't think people know that it's hard to keep.
Interesting.
That's a thing.
Uh-huh.
Like they've seen like the perfect life on social media that makes it seem so easy. Like people have these great lives, and they realize it's just like a painted image. Like they don't see everything that goes into that life. Like we see all these like Hollywood celebrities that have like the perfect body, that have like, but we have no idea how much they spend on nutritionists, on like personal trainers, people that money that like normal people just cannot afford to spend.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
And people like make it seem like, oh, I could do that, when it's like, I'm not saying we can't, like that's a good goal to have, but it's not going to be easy. And then when people realize that it's not easy, they just give up because they expect everything to be easy, which like in our generation, everything is kind of easy. Like we live in the age of the internet, where if you want to do something, you just, all you have to do is look it up on Google for like 5 minutes, and then there you go. Now you know how to do it. That's actually how I learned to cook. It's funny, like I just looked up like certain things, and I know how to cook now, because we live in the age of like in the internet, where you can just learn about literally anything you want. And life is like, if you want to achieve something, most things are relatively easy to do. But when things are worth doing, that's when a lot of people come into problems, and they realize something that is worth doing is not going to be easy.
Yeah, so I definitely feel that too. You know, I don't think people understand the real cost of eating healthy, or like the cost of the gym. It's like, oh, well, I gotta put in time, right? It's like I gotta lift weights, and then I gotta do cardio, and then I gotta eat right, and then I gotta get in the right mentality, right? And it's just like so many things, and also I feel like our environment too has to do a lot to do with it too, you know, and I think our lives are not our lives, but just life right now in general is very easy, right? We can, how Benji said, you know, we can just go on our phone and order something, and it comes in the next 30 minutes. You know, it's a couple taps. You know, if I want to find a date tonight, I just go on an app and a couple swipes, got a date tonight. You know, it's like so easy. Like everything seems so easy, but things that are worth doing, right? Like eating healthier, right? So your body can function better, and so you can have more energy throughout the day. Like it's like, oh, well, I actually have to learn how to cook those meals, or learn how to prepare them. It's like, oh, I have to learn form at the gym, and you know, like maybe get a trainer. And it's like, oh, trainers are pretty expensive, you know. And it's like, and then you go to the gym and you don't know what you're doing, and then you get hurt, and it's like, oh, it's too hard.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, going back to going back to the reasons for failure and the 2014 study, 35% of participants who failed their New Year's resolutions said they had unrealistic goals. I wonder how many of those people, maybe it wasn't so much that the goal was unrealistic, but by the time they didn't accomplish it, by the time they didn't accomplish it, they realized it might have been unrealistic for them. And going to how you guys were saying, you're probably right that most people don't know the real cost and how much it actually takes to lose weight. Having proper form when working out, the fact that it's not just exercise, but that dieting is a big part of it. And then, are you dieting correctly, or are you just extreme dieting? You know, all of these things, I feel like people don't realize the actual cost or the amount of effort that it actually takes. So they just label it as an unrealistic goal, right? One thing that we were talking about on Sunday, I believe, we said that something that would help is if you even looking at the next reason, 33% of participants who failed didn't keep track of their progress. If I told you guys, I need you guys to be 300% better by the time 2021 is over, does that sound easy or hard?
Sounds hard.
It sounds pretty difficult, right?
Yeah.
What if I asked you then to be 1% better every day?
That seems doable.
Yeah, that seems doable. Yeah.
Right. In that case, wouldn't you be 365% better by the time the year ended?
Yep.
So why then does it seem really difficult, one seem so far off? What do you guys think?
Because it's about setting goals for ourselves. And like I compare like bettering ourselves, it's like building a ladder. You can't start at at the top. You have to start at the bottom
Mm-hmm.
and then get to the top.
Right. And just like a ladder, there's layers to it, right? That add on and add on. And it's like, ice when it's snowing, it doesn't fall. All that snow doesn't fall at once, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's little by little. And I
Mhm.
think we confuse massive change with massive action when it's really just little steps, tiny steps every day, right? 1% changes. If I swap out that's Coke for water, that's a 1% change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately it's like, okay, well, that's less calories, less sugar, that I'm taking in with my burger, right? And then it's like, okay, now I got to drink. The next day I'm like, okay, well, maybe I get a salad instead of fries. It's like, oh, that's 1% better, right? And I got to, because you're sticking to your water and you're sticking to your substitutions, but you still got this, like it's just minor changes, and we think it takes massive action, but it really doesn't. It just little step by step.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest problems is people look at it and they want to hit that goal right away. And it's like, well, you have 365 days. Instead of trying to hit it right away, pace yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, people that weren't keeping track of their progress, they didn't make it. Keep track of your progress. And yesterday at CTG, we one of the guys said you have to take the little wins, right? Not every day is going to be a massive win, and not every day has to be. Because if you're just 1% better every day, then you're 365% better at the end of a year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to be radically different every day. You just need to improve a little bit. Like you said, one day it could be switching out the soda with water. Then the next day you already know how to do that. You keep the substitution. Now switch out the fries for, like, I don't know, one of the vegetable options.
Mm-hmm.
Then eventually you switch out the entire meal and you're eating a healthier meal. But rather than be like, okay, tomorrow I'm just not going to eat any more junk food.
Yeah.
Right? That's different because you want to make a big change in
Yeah,
one
it's
day as opposed to little substitutions, taking those little wins.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going from like 0 to 100, right? It's like if you've never gymmed in your life and you're like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week, right? And it's like, are you sure? Like, that's a big jump, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And people, I think people get stuck in the fantasy of like, yeah, going 5 times a week. And that sounds nice. That's like, it's like a mental masturbation in a way, like mentally pleasing, but like,
Mhm.
what if you just went to the gym 1 time a week? And that sounds like just 1 time a week. That sounds useless, right? But it's like, if you've never gone to the gym at all, but you go 1 time a week, at the end of the year, that's 56 times you haven't gone, considering last year, right?
Mhm.
56 or 53. I don't know how many weeks are.
52?
Something in that
However
area.
many amount of weeks.
But it's like in the 50s. Anyway.
We promise we know, guys.
Two,
It's 52? 52. Okay, thank
52.
you. Our tech back there is telling us it's 52.
Right? But that's 52 times more than we've gone to the gym than last year. And that's only going 1 time a week,
Mhm.
right? When there's 7 days a week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I remember when I first started going to the gym, I really wanted to do it in a way that I'm like, I don't want to quit this time. I want to actually commit to it. So when I researched it, it said the first month you should only go about 12 times tops,
Mhm.
which means no more than 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And it made sense because it's like, if you've never gone to the gym, it's a big step to be like, I'm going to go every day or I'm going to go 5 times a week. That's a big step.
Yeah.
But if you're pacing yourself, you're a lot less likely to quit, right? I
Mhm.
think that's one of the biggest things we want people to take away from today is that you have to pace yourself.
Right.
You have to be able to keep track of your progress. And rather than trying to make big radical changes, you make small changes. You take the small wins. It's a step-by-step process. One of the guys at CTG yesterday, I remember, said that life is not a sprint; it's a marathon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the phrase. Life is not a sprint; it's a marathon.
Mhm.
You're in it for the long haul. This is gonna take. It's a whole lifetime, right?
Mhm.
Because let's say this year your goal is to lose 50 pounds. Okay, what's gonna happen the year after? Do you care if you gain those 50 pounds back?
Mhm.
Because if so, then you can just make that resolution for this year. But are you, instead of just making a resolution for this year, making a lifestyle change that you can
Mhm.
maintain for the rest of your life?
Right.
Because if you're doing extreme dieting to lose like weight really quick, right? You can't maintain that the rest of your life.
No, definitely. I wrestled when I was in high school, so like I would do extreme things to cut weight in a very short amount of time. That was, very unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrestled at like 113, but I naturally walked around like 120, 125 sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd cut cut that weight, and then I would weigh in. After that, like I would self-indulge in like all these foods, and like I weighed myself after, and it's like I'm back at 120 in like a couple hours.
Wow.
Yeah, after like a couple hours actually. Like within a day and a half, I was back to the weight. Like
Wow.
it's like damn, like because I think we deprive ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think like another thing that like you were saying, like we deprive ourselves, like it's like making a change about yourself doesn't mean that like we can't completely like ever do things. Like let's say we want to eat healthier, doesn't mean you're never again in your life gonna eat McDonald's. Like it's about control, self-control, about pacing ourselves. Like let's say you haven't had McDonald's in a while, and you're craving some McDonald's. You can have McDonald's. Like there's nothing wrong with having some McDonald's or some like burgers every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about pacing ourselves. And I think that's when people want to give up on their like the resolutions. Like a lot of people like want to compare themselves to like, let's say like the best like physical trainer or like the biggest model or whatever. But they don't see like all the work that was put in. Like really the only person that we have to be better than is our past selves. That's all that matters.
I like that.
Yeah. I want to read for you guys, because I think the Bible even teaches us about this. Ephesians chapter 4, verses Ephesians chapter 4, verses 22 to 24 say, to put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. So even the Bible teaches us that when we're trying to make a new me, we have to put our old selves aside, right? We're full of deceitful desires. If you're going to the gym, if you want to start going to the gym, your deceitful desire might be to stay home and watch Netflix a little longer or stay on Instagram a little longer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you have to put that part of you aside, right? And if we want to apply it spiritually, and I know we're getting close to the end here. I want to bring this around to our spiritual life as well. You know, we've talked about all these small changes and how we can apply that to our health and our finances. One of the most important things that I think us as Christians should be focusing on is our spiritual life.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it seems like, well, why are we just talking about it at the end? Because I want everyone to realize that it's not this like otherworldly, supernatural thing that is unachievable. It's like trying to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
It's like trying to save money. Mm-hmm. It's like trying to eat healthier. It's a step-by-step process. Mm-hmm. And you also have to put, again, when you're picking up new good habits, you have to set aside your old bad habits. Mm-hmm. That's how our walk with God is as well.
Yeah, I remember I heard Michael Todd say, he's a pastor in Tulsa. He said, this year will be your best year ever if it's your best spiritual year ever. Mm. Right? And at first when I heard it, I was like, he repeated it. He said, this year will be your best year ever if it's your best spiritual year ever. And I think I spiritually got better towards the end of the year. And it wasn't till towards the end of the year where I started accomplishing the things I said I was going to do. After just talking about them for like 2 years, like, I'm going to do this, like, I'm going to do that. It's like, I'm going to be debt free, right? And I've been saying this for a while now, right? But it's like, I see that once I get closer to the Creator, closer to God, you know, I'm more inclined to actually accomplish what I'm out to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's a little funny that we set up all these goals for ourselves and how to be better financially, how to be better physically. And we forget about the most important one, how to be better spiritually. And I think it all starts there. Like, there's this song that I really like. It's called Run to the Father by Cody Carnes. And the song's, I forget exactly how the song phrases it, but like, do you want better financial stability? Like, who better to go to than the person who owns, like, basically all of the, like, who created all the world's riches? Do you want, like, better physical health? Who better to go to than the person who literally created us? But it all starts with running to the Father. It all starts with reading the Word. It all starts with seeking a better relationship with Him. You can't just run to him like a little kid that runs to his dad when he wants something, when he hears the ice cream truck pass by and he wants $1 for ice cream. That's not how it works. We have to have a working relationship with God if we want to better ourselves.
Absolutely. Yesterday at CTG, I was sharing about how 2020 was absolutely a difficult year, but the change in my personally in my life came when I stopped trying to do everything on my own strength and try to only focus on my goals and focus on what God wanted me to do. I remember there being a time when I just felt like I needed to work 2 jobs, despite that one of them was from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And then the other one was from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So essentially, I wasn't sleeping. There was all this other stuff that I felt like I needed to just do everything on my own strength, right? I was focusing on what am I going to do to pay off this? What am I going to do to forward my ministry? What am I going to, and I never asked, or at least for a long time, I didn't ask, well, what does God want me to do to achieve that? Or how about even better? What does God want me to do with my year? Not what do I want to do to achieve my goals? What does God want me to do with my year? And there came a time when, I'm okay sharing this now, but like, even though I didn't give up, I came really close to giving up on 2020 because at one point we didn't know how we were going to pay for rent. I nearly broke up with my girlfriend, or we nearly broke up. I didn't know if we had a future at the church or with my current ministry, and my mental health was so bad that I remember there was an entire week where every day I woke up nauseous from anxiety. And from that point forward, I realized I can't do this on my own, right? And so I started to ask God, what do you want me to do with my year, with the rest of the year? What am I supposed to do moving forward? Just take control, right? Around that time was when I reconnected with you to start CTG, and I just felt from God that that's where he wanted me at the time.
Right.
Rather than trying to be the one trying to do all this stuff in my relationship, I trusted my relationship to God, and it's probably stronger than it's ever been. My brother was able to get a job. My dad, his finances picked right back up, so we were able to make rent no problem, and we haven't really struggled to make rent since then. And it all came about when my family, and specifically myself, decided that we were going to trust God with our lives, trust God with our finances, trust God with our relationships, and trust God with our ministry. What does he want us to do, right? And like you said, or how you were saying that the pastor said, this could be your best year if it's your best spiritual year. The best part of 2020, like the best chunk, the end there for me, was only good because I trusted God to guide me. I stopped focusing on what I wanted to do, the things that I felt like, okay, I need to accomplish this or whatever, and rather focused, okay, God, what do you want me to do with 2020? It's not a lot of time left in it, but what do you want me to do with it? And from that point forward, I feel like my life has improved in a lot of ways, where stuff that, I didn't have the exact idea of CTG, but I wanted to do something similar, but I didn't know how to start it. I definitely didn't have the motivation until you came along and gave me all these ideas. My relationship with, for example, my girlfriend is now stronger than ever. I said that, but even more so than that, my relationship with her family is better than it's ever been. Our family's more united. My finances are stronger than they've been in a while, and I'm able to manage my finances better now. And it's all because, like you said, I focused on making this a spiritual goal, right? It wasn't about how do I make more money? How do I do this? How do I do that? But rather focus on my relationship with God and have him guide me. And just like the word says, that if you seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, all of these things shall be added on, right? If you focus on what you're doing for God, he'll take care of you.
Right.
If you put your focus on working for God, dedicating your time and your efforts and your finances even to doing what he called you to do, he'll take care of you.
Yeah.
But like you said, you can't just run to him when you're in need. You have to have a working, healthy relationship with your Father for that to work.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier than it seems, right? It's just having an open prayer, just having an open conversation with God, and just inviting him into every situation, any situation actually. This past 2 weeks I've been inviting God to situations that I wouldn't invite him to. I was like, you know what, I was like, I'm feeling really, really stressed out right now. I was like, I don't know why. And I was like, but, Heavenly Father, I invite you to this situation and just put it in your hands. And like, I'd forget about it. Like, I'm moving on with my day. It's no longer holding me back. Right. And it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I want to focus on something that you said, that like a lot of people don't necessarily, like, a lot of excuses that we can use for like certain people have used, like, oh, I don't know how to pray. There's no specific or like wrong way to pray. It's like talking to a friend. It's like having a it's like talking to someone that you have a close relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk to him about your struggles. You can tell him about the things that have like been holding you back. He's not going to judge you because, for starters, he already knows.
Yeah, that's
true.
very true.
It's not like you can hide your struggles from him. But when we don't talk to him, when we don't have that like real working relationship with him, the only person that we're hurting is ourselves, because he already knows. He already wants to help. He's just waiting for us to have a communication with him, because he's not going to help us if we don't talk to him first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think the most important resolution to make a better us is to allow God to be the one to be in control, right? We're going to surrender all our desires, our goals, our dreams, our hopes to him, and have him guide us moving forward. And like how we said earlier, take the little wins. It's something that's really, really important, that we really want to, emphasize that for this episode, is take the small wins. And, anybody out there watching or listening, take the small wins. It's important to not be too harsh on yourself. Obviously, be ambitious, reach for the stars, if you will, but take the small wins. You're not going to have massive turnarounds every day. Like we said, 1% better a day equates to a massive difference at the end of the year. Yeah. But if you look at it, rather than trying to grasp it all at once, it's like trying to be like, I can eat this whole bowl of candy. It might be like, whoa, that's wild. But what if I have like one every 2 weeks? It might take a while, but technically I ate it, right?
Yeah.
That's probably not the healthiest example. But the point is,
a piece of candy every 2 weeks isn't too bad.
No, that's bad. That's true. But the point is, you have to do it little by little, right? And not be too harsh on ourselves. And how we said yesterday at our meeting, take the small wins, take the little wins, and keep pushing forward. Use that as your motivation. Use that as your driving force, knowing that every day you're a little bit better. Every day you're a little bit closer to your goal. And if you start to realize that, then you can keep pushing on. Same thing with our walk with Christ. Every day we're going to be a little bit better about our walk with Christ. It might be that we read 2 verses instead of just the verse of the day. We might be able to pray a little bit longer. Yesterday we prayed for 5 minutes. Today I prayed for 10 minutes. Yeah. Those kinds of little wins add up, and they motivate you to keep going. And our walk with God, it's not going to be easy, but like you said earlier on, a lot of the things that are worth doing, most things that are worth doing, are also not easy. Right. So for everybody out there, guys, remember, it's not about creating a completely new you, and it doesn't have to be a radical change. It's a gradual change. So let's look at 2021 as New Year, Better Me. How do we like that phrase, guys?
Yeah, I really like it.
New Year, Better Me.
New Year, Better Me. New Year, Better Me.
Let's start a hashtag on the CTG Instagram page, and we don't know if it'll catch on, but
hopefully
we're not the ones to invent it. I know that. But well, guys, that's gonna do it for us here on the Call to Greatness podcast. If you guys want to follow us on Instagram, we're at CTG Men. We post our CTG weekly on there as well. Be ready, because Spotify and Apple Podcast is coming pretty soon. So for anybody who wants to just do audio, and it's easier to do that than having YouTube, we're having that pretty soon. We have our CTG Men meetings every other week. So the next one is January 21st, Thursday, January 21st. It's every other Thursday here at our church. You can find more info also in the description of the video. And as always, guys, my name is Ariel.
And my name's Alejandro.
My name is Benjamin.
And this has been the Call to Greatness podcast. We'll see you guys next time.